appreciate the support we've received from SmartIS, and specifically Caitlin Williams, who, where'd you go, Caitlin? There she is. Yes. She has invested a great amount of time helping us prepare for this conference. Caitlin has accepted a new position and so is no longer with SmartIS, and this is her last big event being a coordinator in here, but she promised us that she's going to stick around in some fashion and not leave us completely. Finally, we want to thank our traveling DJ Glenn Rutledge, who's with us at most Amplify Oshkosh events. Thank you, DJ Glenn, for providing with the music. And now I would like to welcome to the stage Jim Dubinsky, founder, managing director of Stellar Blue Technologies. As I mentioned previously, Stellar Blue is our title sponsor for today's event and has truly helped this event come together. Jim.
All right. Good morning, fellow geeks. Welcome to what hopefully is going to be an awesome day. On behalf of everyone at Stellar Blue, I would like to welcome all of you to Amplify IT 2021 Cybersecurity Conference. We are honored to be this year's title sponsor again and look forward to an excellent conference. As Michael mentioned, amazingly, this is our 6th year of sponsoring this. I remember the first time we sponsored it. We're excited to be here and looking forward to today's sessions. Please remember to tweet, post a snap, or just talk about us on LinkedIn or Facebook through our conference using hashtag Amplify IT 2021. I'll say that again. Hashtag Amplify IT 2021. We could really use the help. Get the word out, spread the news. Cybersecurity is a big deal. We could really use your help out there. I would now like to invite Amplify Consortium member and Amplify IT 2020 keynote sponsor, Jamad from Smart ITIS, to the podium to introduce our keynote speaker.
Good morning, everyone. I'm a little short. All right. My name is Javad Ahmed. I'm from SmartIS International and Amplify Consortium member. On behalf of everyone at SmartIS International, I would like to introduce you to today's keynote speaker, Brett Scott from Gilbert, Arizona. A bit change of weather, I suppose. Brett currently serves as the Director of Advanced Solutions team of TD and had served as the Director of Security Enablement and Training Americas for Tech Data until September of this year. In this role, he was responsible for accelerating the security expertise of their partners and building security solutions for the Tech Data partner ecosystem to deliver their customers. Tech Data and Synex Corporation completed an $8.3 billion merger in September of 2021, creating a company that now boasts $57 billion in annual revenue, more than 22,000 employees, and more than 150,000 customers worldwide. Scott's current project is the Tech Data Cyber Range, which is part of Tech Data's next generation distribution strategy. Brett is the co-founder of the National Cyber Warfare Foundation, a 501c3 nonprofit organization leading the country in teaching hands-on cybersecurity skills in a real-world environment. Please join me in giving a warm Amplify Oshkosh welcome to Brett Scott of TD Synex.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Good morning, everybody. How are you? So they put these things on stage and they're like, maybe he'll stop moving, and that's not going to work. So anyway, that's why we have the wireless microphones. But I'm so glad to see you guys out here today, and I'm very impressed with what you guys have going on here. I hope you pay close attention to the people who are trying to make this happen. I mean, you have a great list of sponsors that are trying to enable us to get together and talk about cybersecurity, and all of that is extremely relevant. Because if you think about it, what we are facing, what we are being challenged with, is a massive onslaught of highly resourced, better talented, and much more motivated people. And yet most people in cybersecurity think to themselves, hey, I'm like James Bond. I shouldn't tell anybody anything. So if you think about that, if they're working together and they're highly resourced and they have better everything and they're coming after you and you choose not to have any friends in the fight, how long do you think the fight lasts? Right? So you can kind of get an idea of how this turns. So anyway, I've already been introduced. Blah, blah, blah. Did lots of awesome things. Started in 2012. What we're going to talk about today is a number of things, but the purpose is I'm going to tell you a story. I'm going to tell you a story and information, and what you're going to do is you're going to realize a few things as I'm telling the story, and then afterwards you're going to say, ah, I get it, right? So we are seeing an unbelievable and unprecedented fusion of different types of warfare, right? So we are seeing biological warfare, information warfare, and cyber warfare all being fused together for a specific nation-state objective. The nation-state objective is to turn us into a third world country. They're doing a really good job, right? So we have seen what all that has been, but you may not be in full connection. You may not have connected completely with what's going on. And so here today, I want to share some of that information with you. But keep in mind that information warfare with kinetic warfare, that's what's called propaganda, right? These types of doctrines have been there, but unfortunately, and something that forebodes an unbelievably dark future for us, is the world has now seen how powerful biological warfare is. And the people who did this to us got away with it. You know, we went after people that killed as little as 12 million people. We thought that they were the worst human beings that ever lived. But here we are, and our whole planet is suffering horrific death at the hands of a nation state that right now can't be fingered. So for those people who are connected to the spooky world, you probably heard that there were some folks that were meddling around in our last election. And there was this big report that was produced, massive, really high correlation of agreement report. And yet, as that report moved from the people who do the intelligence to the people who convey the intelligence, the report evaporated, right? And we have a lot of people, stuffed shirts, that go out there and go, oh, Russia, 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 right? Like there's a little string in their chest, and you pull it and they say Russia. But those aren't the people who are doing this to us. Russia is not a friend of this country. They're bad people because they're enemies of our country. But they're not the ones doing this to us. So we see that there's this new way and a new dark way, because the thing about cyber warfare is, you know, you could opt out. You could just turn the machines off, right? In the case of kinetic warfare, they got to get there to you to fight. But in the case of biological warfare, it's insidious. It's like a plague. So it gets you everywhere, even when you're trying to opt out. So the combination that we've seen has really led to some interesting boldness of thinking in our enemy's thoughts, right? So if you're a study of history, you know that there are some of these existential prophecy type people. So in the Islamic culture, they say, you will never be able to defeat the kafir. We're the kafir, by the way. So you won't be able to defeat us head on. But if you can get them to fight amongst themselves, they will weaken, and then you can take them down. And there was a Russian adept called Madame Blavatsky, BV, some Russian spelling name. And Blavatsky said the same thing. She said, yep, Russia will never defeat the United States. But if you can get them fighting amongst themselves, you'll be able to move in and clean up what's left. All right, so all of these confluences are happening. So if you're wondering, why now? Why now? Why would they do all of this stuff? Why today? And the answer is, well, simple. Your enemy does not attack you when they think you're strong. So in this hybridization of war that we see, we've had a lot of stuff going on here. Now, I want to let you know that I am a hacker. I'm a nasty, nasty creature. I'm in a suit, or a suit jacket anyway. But if I want something and you're not a friend of this country, I'm kicking your door in, I'm taking your stuff, which is what I do. Okay? And so the information that's contained in here, our government is aware of, and it's direct frontline intelligence. So we funded the creation of the bioweapon that's been used against us, right? And because we did that, there are a lot of people who are embarrassed in this country because, you know, there's kind of a well-known fate that happens to people that mass murder, right? So obviously there are certain people who have stakeholders in there. But interestingly enough, after we're getting hit by this thing, the Chinese Communist Party says, my gosh, do you realize that those people in the United States, they're going to get up and run faster than we can run. We are about, using their words, we're about to lose 100 years of progress against the West. So they went, oh my gosh, we are at that point. We are about to lose 100 years of all this work we've been doing, all because they got up and retired and were able to return or be more resilient than us. And that created a massive conflict. So I would ask you to go through your mind and say to yourself, is there a correlation between us recovering and new problems that appear in biological warfare? I think you're going to find an unbelievably and uncanny connection between we're getting up and recovering and new variants of the virus, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So think about that, right? Now, what has that done into the world of technology and cybersecurity? Keep in mind that prior to, let's say, March of 2019, everyone worked in an office. I mean, yeah, there were remote workers. I was one of them, worked 15 years telecommuting, et cetera. But the fact is, everybody worked in the office, and everybody's cybersecurity was based on perimeter defense. Like the military. Hey, we got a base. The base has got soldiers, it's got fences, it's got all kinds of nasty little things that go to people who are not invited. So we had this fortress mentality, and that's where all of our investment went, that's where everything happened. Well, then the Rona happened. And keep in mind, it's only 15 days to stop the spread, so we're going to be through this here real soon. But all of a sudden, now everybody's working from home. Now that is massive technology shift. No perimeter, there's no fence. Like now everyone's at their house with their kids and whoever else, you know, crazy relatives and crazy Uncle Ralph. And all of these people are now on your networks with their home computers usually, even though they're not supposed to be. So all of that massive shift took every organization, every company around the world and said, oh my gosh, what do? We have to frantically change. So what if I said to you, okay, I get done speaking, we're all gonna get up and get on buses and we're gonna go live in the Sahara Desert. Right? Forever. You go, well, I haven't packed, I haven't prepared, I don't even have my stuff. But the fact is, that's exactly what we did in the workforce. We took all the workforce, which was situated over here, and we transformed them into a completely different environment, totally different than the way that they've been operating. They have inklings of what that is, but nowhere near the scale that we have. So that massive shift created a huge scramble. Now, yay us, right? We did a really good job of handling all of that disruption. Surprisingly awesome, but hey, Americans are cool, right? We are really good at change. So by May, we start seeing CCP talking about the fact that we're about to lose all this ground. What do we do? How do we slow them down? Like we were about to really gain here. Now keep in mind, internal to the Chinese Communist Party, about 70% of their members want to leave the party. So you have an enemy who has a declining support base, dissension with their own ranks. What do they do to catalyze their people, get them back on message, get them back on focusing, and getting back to supporting the party? Those in power never voluntarily give it up. Now, we have elections, that's kind of what's supposed to happen, but we're losing that here in this country too, right? So the fact is that they face this existential threat for themselves. At the very time that they're making their bold move, they are literally seeing the ground erode underneath them. So they work super hard to do all kinds of things, to disrupt, to attack, to cause dissent, to sow and foment hatred amongst our fellow citizens. Think about what you've been saying to your friends over the last year. Do you have friends you lost? Or did you lose those friends or some shit political ideology? Why did you lose your friends? Why do you hate people you don't even know because of what they say? This is literally a country where the first thing we founded it on was free speech. Free speech is the right to say things you don't like hearing. You don't need to protect things people like to hear. So if all of a sudden you no longer have friends because of what they said, think about that. Who wins when you are like that? Who wins when we divide ourselves? Right? So anyway, August 2021, we're like, okay, we're done with this Rona thing. We're going to be fine. We're going to recover. Everything's going to be great. And all of a sudden, boom, Delta variant. And we're like, take the shot, but we'll be all right. Oh, the Mu variant is coming out, right? So anybody who understands biology knows that every single virus weakens over time, right? And so because of that, every new variant is more and more of a meh, right? But the fact is that the hype machine, the really interesting stuff, always gets overblown. Now, I have to tell you, as someone who, let's just assume that I have some sort of quantum capability to observe communications going on between, Central Communist Party and, say, the Hebei province of the Chinese Party, which is where Wuhan is located, by the way. And I see them dropping talking points drafted in Chinese and in English. And then within 30 minutes of that drop, I am listening to a TV anchor on a news station, a network news station, verbatim reading the talking points. And I say to myself, holy shit, that's pretty amazing. Like, we can't get emails to go out that fast. We can't socialize that kind of a message whatsoever. I could be like, hey, free cake and coffee in the lunchroom. That doesn't go out that fast. So you have to think to yourself, wow, that is a well-oiled machine. So the fact is that we Americans really don't understand our adversary. We don't understand how they think. We definitely don't understand their scale. But conservatively, there are 13 Chinese people for every American, man, woman, and child. There are 13 of them. They don't have that much of a booming economy per se, which means they have a lot of free time for a lot of people. And so if you're in cybersecurity, there's actually your Chinese doppelganger stalking you, tracking every part of your life, making the world's greatest Facebook, which you will never see. But they're aggregating all of this for the point of having a global economic war. All of our enemies have said, wow, these guys are on the ropes. We could do something about this. We could really make a difference here, right? So in comes the fear and hate machine. Pump, 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 pump. All their energy, all their time, everything that they can do to divide us, right? So we have all of this massive, tumultuous shift, massive change in technology, opening up seams in our thoughts, opening up themes in our policies, opening up themes in how we respond to incidents. All of this stuff has weakened our ability to deal with cyber attacks. And what happens? You have all of these people who hate each other. I mean, I'm a body language guy, right? So I'm also a hacker, so I really enjoy screwing with people. So I love watching people. And just as a pro tip, if you are highly emotional and get offended about something, I will literally advocate any political position if I know it pisses you off, right? Now, there are a couple reasons why I do that. One, I'm a very sick and demented individual. That's the first and easiest way to describe this. But the second thing is, if I can put you into an emotional state, I control everything about you. And you lose your ability to be deceptive. So everything I do has a purpose, right? And the purpose is I want to provoke you, I want to make you angry, and when I do that, I own you. And so I'm trying to connect you with that. So the first part of this was to help me piss you off, right? But keep in mind that all of this hate and anger and all those terrible things, whereas it's laughable that I like to screw with you on that, it has really dark conclusions. So we have a looming great termination. So there's the great resignation. That's all these people saying, F you, I'm out. That's real. And now there's about to be the whole F you, get out. Now, how they're doing this, they are cutting off their safety nets. So it's not just, I'm going to push you down, I'm pushing you off a cliff. So what happens if you take 40% of the population, you give them nothing left, and you just took away the last thing they had going for them? History tells us exactly what happens when you do that. It's not fun. Will be a lot of people who won't be here because of all that hate and anger and desperation, manufactured desperation that was put out there. So that's what we're running into here. So from a cybersecurity perspective, we have these massive shifts. We have a hyper-politicization. Every single thing has been hyper-politicized, right? Every single thing, every aspect of your life. Roads are racist, by the way. I didn't know that, so I learned that recently. So then we have the great terminations that are coming up. And because of that, we're having another massive internally induced economic disruption, coupled with supply chain issues, coupled with everything else like that. What do you think's going to happen? When you're playing with this fire, are you deliberately trying to get everybody killed? What do you think our enemy's going to do after we're done punching each other in the face? Do you think that's not planned? This is how nation states work, right? Oops. So this is a shocking survey that came out about this time last year. 85% of cybersecurity professionals were considering leaving the industry, not their jobs, the industry. Now, I have to tell you, thankfully, this year it has not been 85%, because that would have sucked, right? But it's been closer to 20 to 40% have said, F you, I'm out. I've lost people. People who got paid a crap ton of money and had basically the easiest job ever. They were just like, I can't take it anymore. I'm done. So the fact is that 85% of the very small audience that was protecting us wants to quit the business. So if the experienced cybersecurity professionals leave your industry, and there was already a massive and growing cybersecurity skills gap, who teaches people how to do the things? Who teaches people your way and how you secure your business and how you secure your community, right? Who does that? The answer is nobody. So pretty dark, right? That's like, oh my gosh. The cybersecurity skills gap is as real as it gets. To be clear, it's real. But the fact is that we now have a worse problem. So let's talk a little bit more about the bad guys. What did they do during all this fun and excitement? And the answer is, they said, walls are down, go time. And they went absolutely apeshit. And cyber attacks have been off the charts, factorial increases. Like, data hasn't been collected because there's too much data, to be honest with you. There's too much going on, there's too much terrible stuff happening. And so people are just, they can't even report on it, right? Now, obviously, you've all had ransomware. I mean, I'm not going to ask you to raise your hands, but I would bet each and every one of you has either a first person or an immediate person to your left or right that has had an experience with ransomware. And the number of new entrants into the battle space has gone off the charts. People are like, you can just give them software and they give you money? Okay, great job, right? The bad guy groups who write all this malware, they're like, man, we're having a hard time infecting everybody. Oh, you know what we should do? We should get contractors that will help us. So I will help put you in jail if you do this, just to be clear. Come shake my hand. You'd be like, I shook the hand of the guy that helped put me in jail. But you can go to the bad guy gangs, and they'll pay you a commission for you to infect your organization. They pay pretty good, right? And so the bad guys are doing everything they can to dramatically increase their technology, their innovation. The people who are helping them are all these groups that are jumping in saying, we want in on the fight, the land rush, all of this opportunity that's happening, just stealing from these idiots who can't protect themselves, right? And now, all of a sudden, we've had an unbelievable amount of data that's been stolen, highly relevant. And so I'm sure you kind of have an idea, but I bet you don't actually have an idea. What is out there about you that's been stolen from the people who didn't protect you is shocking. They know you better than you know yourself. And the bad guys are now actually having their own supply chain issues. So they're being so prolifically successful in breaking us and stealing our stuff and harming us. They can't find enough people and they can't find enough time to rake in all of the money and rewards that come from that. So anyway, they've been loving life, like the La Vida Loca, right? So Here's the thing. We're the United States. We're used to beating the living crap out of everybody. Literally, all of us are here because our relatives beat the crap out of everybody, right? But the fact is that we're used to asymmetric battles. We're used to basically overpowering and over horsepowering the problem. And because of that, we're used to winning these battles. Honestly, history says, typically, the superior force always crushes the small force, regardless of their heart, right? Unless they voluntarily give up, right? You just make it toe hard on the giant. You poke them in the toe enough, they're like, okay, whatever, dude, we're out. But the fact is that we don't know how to fight like this. We've never had to fight like this. Other than the creation of this country, only 30% of Americans and a bunch of farmers decided that in 1776, we should get rid of the world's superpower, the biggest, most powerful army in the world. So a very rare thing occurred when this country was created. But asymmetrically, we don't have the ability to produce the kind of talent, the kind of innovation, the kind of resourcing that is being thrown against us. The things that people are doing to us, we can't outspend them, we can't out-innovate them, and we certainly can't out-motivate them, right? Keep in mind, half the country would be like, yeah, cool, take it. As long as those other guys aren't the ones in power. Shocking, right? Sit there and go, half your house says burn the house down. Which house? Well, it depends. Who's at the front door? So, anyway, the good guys. Well, we've had the Great Resignation. That's basically just people who say, I'm tired of this. It's really hard to wake up every day and go to a battle you know you're going to lose. Dust yourself off. Okay, I'm stupid. Let's go. I'm going to go right back to work. Punk. Knock you right out, right? And then all of a sudden be like, no problem. I'll get you tomorrow. So anyway, we've had this Great Resignation, people there. Whoever was left, total burnout. Like, we just simply have humans fighting computers, outscaled. You got to have humans, you got to have computers. None is going to replace the other. But if you don't have both, and you overburden the humans with something that asymmetrically wins, you get burnout. It's all of our supply chain. Anybody seen a satellite map or a chart map of all the ships that are parked outside our shores? You could literally say we now have Fortress America built by cargo ships, right? Why is that? We never had a problem getting stuff off of ships before. Why is it now we have trouble getting stuff off of ships? What could have created the situation where we can't offload ships? Did you think demand went up? Nope. You got less money. Demand went down. And yet, even though there's less volume, we can't get little metal boxes off of little metal ships. Right? All of a sudden, weird. Darndest thing. Skills gap is now 10 times worse. Now, this National Cyber Warfare Foundation, we are partnered with WICTRA, the Wisconsin Cyber Threat Response Alliance. WICTRA is also working with visionaries like Mr. Patton over here and the university, UWO, University of Oshkosh. Wisconsin Oshkosh, my apologies. And we are building cybersecurity skills one step at a time by surrounding people with a passion, with people who have knowledge in cybersecurity. I assure you, no book is ever going to teach you how to defend yourselves against these threats, the problems that we face. So you got to learn it from the people who know it. Unfortunately, there really aren't that many people that know it. So anyway, I'm not trying to brag, but I'm telling you that Homeland Security says, there's really only 18 people on the planet that do what you do, Brett, and you're the only one friendly to the United States. I said, well, you're doing a great job of pissing me off, right? So in any case, the great termination is going to take this problem and absolutely make things 100 times worse. We are literally about to anhero this thing. We're about to commit suicide. So while the enemies are ferociously tearing us apart, we are literally ripping ourselves apart because apparently we're sad by the lack of progress our enemies are making against us. So we're like, we can help. So let's look at our current state. Click. There we go. So organizations now are going, I don't know what the hell to do. All these yelling people. So, it's kind of funny. Cybersecurity people, buyers, they say, look, I got 1,000 people screaming at me. It's like you're at Lambeau Stadium, right? You're down there, you're the quarterback, and you're like, okay, well, we're going to run a play here. And everybody's going, do this play. No, do that play. You're an idiot. Why would you do that play? Do this one. You have all these thousands of people shouting at you, right? What play do you run? If everyone else is telling you what to do, what the hell do you do? Well, the answer is probably nothing. You're like, could we have a vote? I'm not sure if I should run a running play here or not, right? So organizations have had a dramatic reduction in their cybersecurity posture. So all those lift and shifts that occurred, so it's one thing to be everybody at work, it's another thing for everybody to be at home. Being in a hybrid environment is not a combination of the two. It is a totally different paradigm. So we've had 3 different shifts in paradigm. Every one of those things caused your people to frantically facilitate the operation of your business or your organization. What it did not let them do is document it, train your people on it, and make sure that no seams were opened up in your cybersecurity infrastructure and your defenses. So all this lifting and shifting created a massive amount of risk to your organization. So there's a saying in my family that 3 moves is the same as a fire, right? In other words, you lose so much in all those 3 moves that you might as well have had a fire in your house. That's exactly what's happened. So all these people, we are functioning as businesses, but if we were at, and please try not to laugh hysterically because it's hard to talk over that. If we were at 100% cybersecurity at 2019, beginning of 2019, we're now at 85 to 50% of that capability. In all honesty, it's probably worse than that. We're probably 15 to 20% what we used to be in 2019. All those lifts and shifts. Now, not only are our defenses weakened by all of that, and we probably don't know about it, but we also have these things called regulators. Don't forget, fearless leaders out there going, cybersecurity. What was that? It's cybersecurity, right? And because of that, he's beating the drum. Who hears that drum? Those regulators, right? We're going to make you do better cybersecurity. So while you're just like, I'm just trying to make sure that the world doesn't collapse. I'm holding it up. I'm Atlas, right? They're going, okay, we hear you, Mr. Leader. We're going to go make sure they're doing it right. Now, if you have been unprepared, undocumented, and you have all of these holes in your architecture, they will take your money. And because of all of that, while you're supporting and doing all of this stuff, the regulators are going to come in and punch you into a place that you don't like to get punched. So that's the state of the current cybersecurity. That's where we are. This is what's facing us. So first of all, bless you for having the courage to get out of bed this morning, right? But let's talk about not the dark and nasty and terrible things. I said all of that to help you to understand the landscape in which you're in, to see the size and magnitude of the threats that we face, and to plead with you to collaborate. Your being here is me preaching to the choir, right? I'm saying, hey, people should get together and talk about cybersecurity at a cybersecurity event where everybody's talking about cybersecurity. Anyway, good on you for being here. But the fact is that we have to work together to try to asymmetrically protect ourselves. So what do you need to do, right? There are a few things that you can do. So chances are you used some kind of GPS device to help you navigate to this location. A GPS device basically says, where am I? And where do I want to go? And what is the thing that lets me get there? Now, cybersecurity is not a destination. Literally, it's a never-ending battle. You're constantly swimming on a river that never stops flowing. But you can also gain and lose ground within that. But you have to assess where you are. And I'll tell you right now, I can hear all the business people cringing, like the little inner child voice in them is going, no, don't measure me now, I really suck. Right? But I need you to go do that. Go ahead, drop the pants and be like, yep, there you go. Winnie the Pooh underwear, right? So the fact is that you have to answer honestly, face those unbelievably challenging conversations. And there's a lot of eruptive butthurt within your organization that you're going to have to just unpack and say, okay, people are mad. We're in a bad spot. Tomorrow, we still have to come to work and do our thing. So go ahead and go through that humiliation and that disruption to your organization, right? Just go for it. You cannot fight what you cannot see. It's real simple, right? If you're in the middle of a forest, like horror movies, right? A lot of horror movies work by you can't see the guy that's about to attack you, right? You're in the forest, you're in the whatever, and all of a sudden you hear screams, and this person goes down. Hey, just so you know, something important's happening. So, in any case, you gain greater visibility by things like logging, log aggregation, correlation, and added instrumentation, right? So small businesses like, great, I get to buy some products. Okay, first of all, there's open source, so it's free-ish, right? You still have to human compensate the lack of the technology or the features. But the fact is that either for free or for very low cost, for example, there's a company out there called Tripwire, they make instrumentation. So they have a thing called FIM, File Integrity Monitoring, that'll let you know when bad stuff happens. They also have all these other great technologies for logging and aggregation and scripts that will say, wait a minute, when this, and that happen, oh, this is what's going on, right? So anyway, I don't work for Tripwire, I don't own stock in Tripwire, but great company, get greater visibility on what's going on. With that visibility, re-identify, what are my new weak points? You're going to be surprised that that list grew quite a bit, but you have to identify them. Again, you cannot fix what you do not know, right? So keep in mind, you can gain visibility on your network, identify those weak points through the assessments as well as the technology. You can then use third-party friends, right? So the cybersecurity skills gap is a massive issue. Now, in the unbelievably near term, there are about to be a whole bunch of people who left their company who are competent cybersecurity professionals. A symptom of time. You have about a 4-month window. People who are like, I made you billions of dollars and you're going to fire me because I don't want to take an experimental shot. There are 2 words. One starts with F and the other one starts with Y. I'm going to do a little charades here. Your people are going to say, yeah, right? And so because of that, all of these cybersecurity professionals are going to flush out of their organizations. So unprecedented opportunity to pick up capable or at least experienced cybersecurity talent. So that's going to work for 4 months. The problem's going to last longer than 4 months. So because of that, you need to bring in third-party help. There are these MSSPs out there who will be happy to charge you tons of money to watch your networks for you. But the thing is that think of it as they have a dedicated team of people who are trained and experienced to look at a particular problem. You are outsourcing those problems to someone else when you do that. So MSSPs are real and good. Specialist contractors, same thing. If you have an incident right now, chances are you will not be able to even find a company that can say yes, right? So there are companies represented in this room that help with incident response, and they've been saturated, overloaded. The switchboard is fully lit the whole time. You call them up and I'm like, help, my business is dying. And they're like, we would love to. I'm sorry. So you're going to need to find multiple specialist contractors to help you get that done, right? And then, of course, connect with your cybersecurity community. Here we are, right? Bunch of people, business leaders trying to do stuff about cyber. Get to know everybody. If you don't know everybody in this room, you are wasting an opportunity, right? But we also have Wictra. Wictra is here. It's a nonprofit organization here to help you do that. Wictra is part of our super well-connected, knows everything that's going on group of people. And then we, basically for free, give you all of this information so that you can then take it and say, okay, I know what I'm dealing with, and this is what's going on, this is what I got to do something about it. UWO has taken the courageous step to say, we know that teaching stuff out of books isn't going to get us where we need. It's not going to get our industries protected the way they need. And so because of that, visionaries like Mr. Patton over here says, we got to change up the game. And so in this building, about just above me here, we have the cyber range that's up there. Now, it's still small, but give us a break. We just got started. And we are putting new systems in there, and we have all kinds of amazing volunteers that you'll see even in the back of this room who are helping us to create this live fire, hands-on experience where either new talent can acquire new skills or existing talent can upskill whatever their deficits are in their capability. And then there are organizations like IC Squared or ISSA. ISSA is basically a cult, so full disclosure. If you join the cult, one must always, love the cult. So hail ISSA. I love them. I give them crap about it all the time, but it's fun. All right, so you are also going to be embracing zero trust. So many of the older folks in the room remember defense in depth, right? Defense in depth. have multiple technologies that overlap each other so that if one system fails, the other system might catch it. Zero trust is simply the same basic thing with one major difference. The idea of defense in depth is, I have a wall, bad guys don't get in. Zero trust says, I don't care how many walls you have, they're going to get in. When they do, limit their ability to do damage and increase your ability to detect that they've done it so you can remediate the problem faster. So let's think about this. The average dwell time of a bad guy on a network is over 200 days. Now, by the way, I've never seen it that small. So I'm willing to accept that it's only 200 days on average, because I'm assuming there's just sort of this fantastical village on a mountain somewhere where people are super awesome at cyber, which counterbalances everybody else that doesn't see them for years. But anyway, if you were to translate that paradigm to the real world, so for example, let's say you walk down into your kitchen and you see there's somebody there and they're eating breakfast and reading the newspaper, and you're like, hey, what are you doing in my house? And they're like, what do you mean? I've been here for 200 days. I get mail here, right? You laugh, right? But that's literally what's happening to you guys right now. That's what the bad guys are doing. They've been there so long, it's their house. So the fact is that you have to embrace concepts like zero trust, which forces you to embrace stuff that's not going to be fun. Users don't like to have to deal with multi-factor authentication. But I'll tell you what, your users also love having a place to work. 60% of businesses, mid-size or smaller, are out of business within 6 months of a major breach. Now, if you think about that, if you're an individual owner or someone who's an individual investor, you work super hard, you pour blood, sweat, and tears into the growth and success of your business. Are you literally willing to accept the following deal? I'm going to give you a D10, a 10-sided die, okay? And every morning before you go to work, you're going to roll it. And if you roll a crit 1, you have to close your doors and you have to go find another job. Does anyone accept the deal besides me? I hate work, fuck it, right? So the thing is, you would not accept that deal, because why would I leave to chance my wealth and survival, my ability to feed my family, my ability to have a roof over my head? It does get cold here in Wisconsin. Thanks for the snow, by the way. So if you're not willing to risk it like that, why are you accepting that risk in a different paradigm? When you fail to plan for your cybersecurity, you are just waiting for the D10 grit 1 roll before you're out of work and all your employees are out of work. So I grew up in a small business. I remember looking into the eyes of the people whose families were reliant upon our family operating our business. And that made me work even harder to make sure that we stayed in business and didn't die unnecessarily. So zero trust is not a technology. There's no box. There's no, like, I got a zero trust box. It's in the rack. It's great. Zero trust is a concept for how to defend yourself. It is many different technologies. It's many different methodologies. And it can be done super expensive or super cheap. I work for Fortune number 60. If you want to buy a ton of crap, holy crap, we'll sell it to you. Well, not to you. We'll sell it to somebody who sells it to you, right? So we can sell you anything you want. But the fact is that you, even in small business, can adopt and embrace zero trust with open source software. It doesn't have to cost you a total fortune to do so. So, threat intelligence. The information and some of the stuff that I've been talking to you about is essentially it's a form of threat intelligence. It's not IOCs, indicators of compromise, but it is threat intelligence. You should be leveraging threat intelligence to help you stay on top of what's going on. If cyber warfare evolves in minutes and you're getting updates through a weekly email or the newspaper or some guy you talk to on the bus, you aren't staying on top of what's going on. And if you don't know what's going on, you don't know who you're fighting. You don't know what's going on. You don't know, where do I fight? Where do I defend? What do I have to look out for? You don't know any of that stuff. You have to stay connected. Threat intelligence helps you do that. Collaboration. That is literally probably the dirtiest word in the room. Work with your competition. Hey guys, we're getting attacked. How about you? Well, I can't tell them that. They'll know I'm under attack and they'll seize on me. Bro, your competition is literally the little girl squad in the boxing team compared to what the bad guys are going to do to you. Not collaborating is literally suicide. You cannot outspend them. I work for a really big company. I have global presence. I have an unbelievable amount of hedge funds that support us. Unlimited money. We don't win because of unlimited money. So, your business community, your cybersecurity community, your law enforcement community. How many of you know that in times of significant cyber attack, it's not the police and it's not the FBI that come to help you or are not tasked with protecting you? It's the National Guard. How many of you have ever talked to the cyber squad at the National Guard? Okay? If the answer is, what? Go find them. They're there. They're nice people. I've met them. So the fact is that you should get to know them, because if you think about what could happen, if someone shows up outside your house with a destructive device, you do not need to have the following conversation. Yeah, this is Brett Scott. I'm at this address. I'm outside. There's a big fucking tank that's about to blow me the fuck up. Yep, nope, I don't know them. Nope, we're not friends. They're looking like they're going to shoot. Yeah, no, Brett Scott. Yeah, I founded this, I bought this house about 10 years ago. Yep, no, my favorite color's blue. Yeah, cool. Like, when you get a chance, could you maybe send some folks by? Oh, wait, they're turning the turret, right? You don't need to have all that built-up conversation. Let me ask you this. If you're a business and some guy rolls up in a Humvee and greenies and says, hi, I'm with the National Guard. I'm here to help you. Just give me administrative access to your network. Just a quick show of hands so I know who to go steal from next. Who takes the deal? Who says, yeah, cool, Humvee guy, come on in. Administrative password is password 123. John Podesta forever, right? So the answer, you laugh, right? But that happens. I do social attacks, right? Physical, social penetration tests. I can carry a construction helmet, of an orange vest, and a ladder, and I can get into anything. There are tons of videos on the internet of a dude doing exactly that, right? It is effing amazing. I'm like, $2,000 concert ticket? Screw that. I've got a hat, a vest, and a ladder. See ya. That's beautiful. I mean, as a hacker, I'm like, brilliant. But the fact is that you could absolutely work together with these communities, share your misery, share your experience. It's hard to walk out and go, yeah, so I got in this fight. They kicked the living shit out of me. Whew, that was not fun. I was in the hospital for weeks. That's not an easy conversation. We are prideful people. We don't like to assume or let others know that we have these weaknesses. But because you do not do that, the predators win. Their advantage is no one ever talks. No one ever shares. So all these big hulking bullies walking around thumping the little chipmunks on the head, we're the chipmunks, right? And that's the thing. If we do not work together, we guarantee one thing. So back at your dollar bill, there's a little thing that says, united we stand. Well, they ran out of room because divided we fall is the second part of that. So while we stay divided, we fall. No exceptions. Oops. My favorite topic. So anybody here in HR? I'm about to piss you off. So ironically, every time I lambast HR people, they invite me to keynote their conferences, and I'm like, this is the worst assassination attempt in history. Everyone's going to know you did it. I'm on the frickin' stage. But as much fun as I like to have with HR, they are not designed to help you be successful in hiring cybersecurity talent. They are using things like ATS systems that say, look for these keywords. Well, cyber people aren't going to take the time to address all their keywords to fit your job description. Or if they do, you don't have to pay them top rate because they obviously really need that job super badly. But maybe you find cybersecurity talent in places that you wouldn't expect. Maybe the cybersecurity talent within your organization is that really annoying boy or girl that says, guys, I'm really concerned about passwords. I think we should do this. And everybody else goes, shut up. I don't want to do that stuff. We're done. Moving on. Let's not invite them to lunch. All they're going to do is drone on about cyber crap, right? And so those people within your organization, they're demonstrating a passion, and more importantly, they're demonstrating care for your organization, as annoying as they are. So A, get them a personality test and some personality counseling, because they're annoying. Got to fix that. But two, empower them. right? Maybe you can find those people within your organization, you can upskill those people, and then get what you want faster, okay? But also, work with local cybersecurity people. Like again, I'm just telling you right now that there's this giant floodgate of all these capable cyber warriors that are about to flush out the dam. Get some buckets. Be there, know when they're coming, and be like, hey, right here. You can land right here and do your thing. They'd love you for it. Cyber people are risk-averse people, right? So the fact is that HR is preventing you. So early on in my career, I did work for a company called Bechtel Corporation, probably another corporation you've ever heard of. Really large, probably one of the top 3 construction companies in the world. Build nuclear power plants and airports and all that stuff, oil refineries. And their cyber department, en masse, said, HR, we're done with you. If you filter one more resume, we all quit. And HR was like, whatever. And they're like, bye, fuck off. Okay? And they're like, whoa, whoa, you were kidding? Okay. We promise not to filter your resume anymore. So now when you go to work for Bechtel Corporation, you're talking to the actual nerds, the actual manager sees your resume, and you get to have all the fun of dealing with nerd-to-nerd contact, right? But the fact is that that's the kind of dramatic step that needs to be taken, because HR says, well, I'm HR. I'm supposed to filter things. That's literally my job. The definition is human firewall. We got the R wrong with the F. But your HR department cannot and isn't allowed to be experts in everything that they hire for. So be compassionate. The same person that's hiring someone that's on the line, manufacturing, is the same person that's hiring your executive talent, is the same person that's hiring your cybersecurity talent. So be kind. I mean, what if your job was do everything? Sucks, right? So, incubate your cybersecurity talent. That means take the people who already have a fairly high competency and grow it. Give them more skills, give them more training, give them more capability. And when you do, you get a synergetic effect, right? So united we stand, divided we fall. If everyone just took their game up one notch, everyone's job in cybersecurity gets easier. The more that people do in cybersecurity, the easier it is for us to be effective in cybersecurity, right? So in warfare, there's this doctrine called the defender's advantage, right? So in other words, if you're the attacker, you're going to sustain larger losses because you're moving and they're not. They know where you're coming. You're just in an open field probably. So because of that defender's advantage, we could restore that for cybersecurity. We generally don't want to attack other people. We just kind of want to, sell widgets. So because of that, if everyone took a little bitty step forward, kept going, and recover a little bit and grow a little bit, then everyone else's job would be safer, which is super awesome when you compare it to the supply chain attacks that are going on right now. You could literally be the lord of all cybersecurity. Super awesome at everything. Not a single bit enters or leaves your network without your total complete control and making sure it's totally safe. But if you have literally a knuckle-dragging vendor who's like, I sell widgets, man, right? And they have terrible security, then it doesn't matter how awesome your cybersecurity is. So you have to think like an ecosystem. What do my customers, what do my vendors do? Like if you're a business owner and your vendor got compromised and they're attacking you, do you know who to call over at the vendor to say, hey, knock it off? Nope, I bet you don't. That's totally relevant to your specific lives and your specific operations. If you get compromised and your customers are getting attacked, are you bold enough to go, we screwed up, sorry, we're going to go ahead and let you know, watch out for us because we're apparently doing bad things? The answer is hell no. Everyone tries to bottle that stuff up. I can't let everybody know I'm stupid. Bro, they know. Every one of you has credit protections, right? I have free credit protection for life. Yes, $9.95 a month, forever. All because the US government couldn't keep our most secret database of what the spies do away from our enemies. Which, by the way, puts us out of the spy business. If the spy business is based on circles of trust, and everybody just had a giant flashlight on their face, and everyone knows who the people are, how do you rebuild your community? Well, if this happened to our enemies, I'd be like, hey, every party they go to and everyone that they talk to, the new generation of spies. There's your list. So we're out of the spy business because we didn't do that. So let's talk about the near future of cybersecurity. So one of the huge trends that I see, so Tech Data, TD Synnex, we serve the biggest enterprises. We also serve literally one-man or woman operations. So we see everything. I see everything globally, which is awesome. Hackers. So in any case, the big trend that's going on right now and will be the only topic, there are two topics that will be on everyone's lips this coming year. Simplification, because if all your cybersecurity talent is left, people who are left need easier tools to help them understand and react quickly. So simplification, which generally favors ecosystem players, integrated offerings. So Fortinet is 1 in 3 security devices sold these days. Rings a bell. But the fact is that the reason why Fortinet is at play is because they have every Fortinet, everything you can possibly imagine, which, by the way, I cannot sit through one of their marketing presentations because I'm just like, where's my gun? Where's my gun? Right? So now I go to the Fortinet bathroom, I take a Fortinet shower, and I cook my Fortinet breakfast, right? And I was like, stop. So in any case, automation and orchestration. Notice I'm not using AI. Why am I not using AI? By the way, I use AI. Well, that's deep learning, right? But so it has its applications, but computer programs are not going to fight off humans. Every single human in this room is the careful and deliberate result of extreme effort and hacking by your ancestors. They hacked their way through the environment or whatever else that they had to survive. The beach, the guys with the guns on the hills. Everyone hacked their way here. So humans are way better at doing this than computers will be, certainly for the next 10 years, probably 20, right? So orchestration and automation says, you know what? Robots are good at dull, boring, and dangerous. So when somebody's laptop gets infected by malware, okay, what a pain in the butt. Order them a new laptop from our store, take the other one in, wipe it out, reinstall the operating system, put it back on the shelf. So, because some of that's human, but most of that's computers. Well, when you don't have visibility on what's going on in your network, when you don't embrace things like zero trust, there is no detection. There is no, hey, this is what we do when this happens. Here's how we reliably and can predictably deliver the same consistent result over and over again. So automation and orchestration is going to help overcome some of the cybersecurity and the talent skills gap that's out there. Those gaps can be somewhat or partially filled by that technology. But also, you have to keep in mind that those two things are fighting all of that kind of warfare. And I put kinetic on there for a reason, so that you can be like, remember that speech where that idiot who kept walking back and forth on stage said, there's going to be a war? I assure you, there's going to be a war. And it's going to be kinetic and it's going to be bad. So because of that, we have these two things that are going to help us to survive where we are in the face of all of that. And that all of this is going to accelerate compromise and destruction within our communities. So now you really just have to think about a totally different game. I mean, you can look at a stadium full of people, 30% of them fall. How do you function? So, there we go. Oops. All right. So there's a rare opportunity here, right? So if everyone's still got their heads down in a foxhole, if you jump up and run right now, you are going to crush your competition because you started the race with a super head start. By the time they get their head out of the hole, they're going to see a very distant backside of you. So now is a great time to get up and to really, truly advance yourself in cybersecurity. Again, business owners love opportunity, right? There will be no opportunity like this in our lifetimes. This is it. This is the moment we have this opportunity. Your businesses could profoundly benefit from getting up out of the foxhole and running forward. No one's going to be in your way. No one's really even going to be resisting you because they're in the foxhole still. And if your competition is not paying attention, how do they catch up to you? They don't, right? So this is a really awesome opportunity for you to move forward and gain greater opportunity within yourselves. So I probably ran over my time, so no one is looking at me with a menacing face, but the question I have for you is, do you have questions for me? I will happily answer whatever questions you have until the hook comes and yanks me off stage. If you don't ask me good questions, I'll ask myself questions you will regret. Yes, sir. Well, maybe we move some of the stuff to ports that don't require zero emissions vehicles to offload those ships. A zero emissions vehicle doesn't run 24/7. You could go to other ports. I hear the Panama Canal is nice. So you can move it over to Florida on all the East Coast, all those ports there. They're happy to get that stuff off those ships. Part of the reasons why the supply chain hasn't fully affected us is because Florida said, yeah, come on in, let's go. It's just expensive, but all of those ships that are parked outside 3 weeks outside of Los Angeles Harbor, they're starting to pay fines now for blocking up the space. They're like, why are you all up in my harbor business? Here's a huge fine. So in any case, that's we absolutely could do that, but there has to be a will to do that. Right now, all right, sadly not Indian spam because I love answering those calls when I'm on stage. It's very entertaining. But the fact is that you have to get at what's causing our problem. Do you think there's a lack of truckers willing to move vehicles? Like how many presidents of trucking companies are like, I got a shit ton of trucks right there and all the drivers you need, let's go. Why aren't they? Well, maybe because the laws in that state don't let those truckers truck in that state, right? So if we are artificially creating this crisis for ourselves, we could just be like, don't be stupid. Fix the problem first. We'll go back to stupid right after the problem. But we haven't yet. Weird. Any other questions? Yes?
So what's the solution for getting executive level on board with both your HR suggestions and I would suggest the purchasing problem? You all?
Yep. So think about this, right? So the way usual C-level meetings go is, okay, cyber expert of mine, my CISO, my whatever, right? How are we doing in cybersecurity? Great, boss. Yeah. I want some new things, but like I think we're on top of it. So now you understand why the average job span of a CISO is 2 years. So let me give you a quick review of the cycle. Show up, say everyone before you was a total effing moron, made all the wrong decisions, and you're going to fix it. Concoct a gigantic budget that no company could ever afford and say, if you give me all this, I'll give you cybersecurity. Company does not give you said budget. You start sending memos to everybody going, I told you, and if you don't, this is going to happen. And then they're just waiting for the breach to occur. And then the C-level goes, you suck at your job, get out. And then off to a new job. Wash, rinse, repeat. So it starts with visibility. It starts with saying to the CEO, if we can agree that we're just going to be friends after this conversation, let's start with, I've been lying to you the whole time I've been here. We absolutely are in deep crap and we need to do something about it. But I'm not going to give you a bazillion-dollar budget to solve this problem. I'm going to give you practical steps that implemented over time will get us to a much better cybersecurity posture. I'm going to bring in third-party expertise to help us to understand that better when necessary. And I need you to embrace the suck. And here's why, Mr. or Mrs. CEO, you're going to want to do that. Because those morons in Congress, they want to put you in jail. And they will eventually come up with a law that says your buck stops with you. What that means is the butt hurt starts with you after you're sent to prison. Do we really want to wait until they start putting you in prison before we start addressing this problem? Because I'm not going to help you fill your commissary, and you're going to have to get to learn to love Bubba, because Bubba's going to love you, right? So you can have that very real, very practical conversation and say, it's not just give me every dollar I ask for, give me everything your company makes. It's just, I have a plan and a strategy which needs your support. If the CEO doesn't agree with that, the board will. Because the board's saying, hey, I got this awesome cushy job where I get paid to sit in meetings. This is cool. I don't want to do that. I got to find somebody else to make me do that. So the answer is they want to preserve the company, and some people actually care about investors still. So they're going to want to preserve and do their due diligence, et cetera. So someone C-level, top C-level or above cares. Find them and ask them for help. But again, don't get blurry-eyed. Don't consider yourself to be, they'll put me in CEO one day because I took the cybersecurity bold advantage. Don't think like that. Think like, hey, I'm just trying to preserve where I go to work every day. I kind of like the drive. It's nice. So that is how you get it done, is being real. And being real is the hardest thing in the world to do in cybersecurity, because true confession here, everyone in cybersecurity sucks at their job. If they did any other job than cybersecurity, they would be indicted for fraud. I sit on the world stage with the top world talent, and about 40% of the time, I'm sitting there biting my tongue going, don't call them out. You're on TV. Don't start a battle. Because they're giving advice that I know to be directly incorrect, like totally factually incorrect information. So everyone's bad at cybersecurity, but the one thing everyone fears in cybersecurity is someone else finds out that they don't know something about cybersecurity. So, I mean, I can give you a physical world example. So my Tech Data Cyber Range, all my laptops are lined up on a wall. We've been operating for over 2 years. Collectively, there's been 15 minutes worth of work done on any one of the 10 or 50 laptops, depending on the day. Think about that. 2 years, 2+ years, 15 minutes cumulative laptop time. And the reason why is because all those laptops are lined up right next to each other. So I can sit right here and be like, idiot, right? And because I can do that, nobody wants to be typing because they don't want to be the idiot. But if I take that same configuration of laptops and I put them in little pods where everybody faces each other, everybody goes to town and I have to beat them away with a stick to get them off those laptops. Same people. Really quite interesting, right? But again, people are terrified that they're going to find out I don't know what I'm talking about. So that's the biggest problem in cybersecurity. There are so few people that actually know what the heck is going on. And usually everyone who is not them is like, keep them out of the room. It's only a matter of time before they figure out I'm the idiot. So, yes, ma'am. The attractive lady in the front.
Wouldn't it be better if people could just admit their mistakes and then fix them rather than being private?
The lovely Mrs. Scott, everybody. The answer is, the question was, wouldn't it be better if people just simply dropped this ruse and smoke and mirrors and just simply said, okay, here's where we are. So first of all, I'm super glad that my message finally resonates with some person. The fact that I spent all my time with that person, I can't do that with you. So you're just going to have to follow her example. But yes, completely. If people simply embrace the suck, right? So when you're working special forces, there is this concept, embrace the suck. It's hard. It's supposed to be hard. You can cry all you want. You still have to do this thing. All of that stuff simply says, okay, we are in deep, deep doo-doo. Let's get the shovels, right, and move your way out of it. That absolutely gets you there. But I have to tell you, as wonderfully ideological as that is, unfortunately, you could be super motivated, and there's this great big wall that you will splat right into, right? Because no one else is going to feel the same way you do at the same time that you do on this topic, because it's really hard, right? What if I were to tell you that starting tomorrow, 10% of the business that your business does is how much money the business will make, and you will make 10% accordingly of what you make right now? And your answer would be my chant again. It starts with an F. The second word starts with U, right? And you'd be like, you, Brett, are you crazy? Well, nobody wants to go through that hardship. But in all honesty, the hardship it's a debt. It's accumulating. There's a debt to be paid. You will pay that price. The question is, how much debt do you have when it happens to you? So embracing the suck is absolutely the best way to go forward on that. Sir?
Earlier in the presentation, you mentioned a huge amount of burnout with cybersecurity professionals in the whole entire industry.
Yep.
How long do you believe it'll be before that gets turned around and brought back up?
Is your question, will people come back after burning out?
No. How long will it take for the industry to recover?
Ooh, yeah. Great question. So the question is, with all this burnout, all these people leaving, how long will it take for us to get back up to speed to where we were? And to be perfectly honest with you, we are looking at probably 10 years or more. I really wish. If I had all the money in the world and I owned my own volcano and some super villain organization that did my every whim, I still couldn't make it happen faster than probably 10 years. I really wish it wasn't the case. And I sincerely hope that our enemies don't try to overcapitalize in that time frame. Yes, ma'am.
As an IT organization, have we done it before? That's a deep deficit that we have overcome?
We are aware of it now. There's always been the deficit, but what we didn't have was super emboldened enemies. So, I mean, I was a hacker back in all the days. There are movies and books written about the things I did as a hacker. I was doing that back then. But the thing is that I was selectively picking off ducks. I was picking them off one at a time. Now everyone's getting shot. So we have always been in proximity to this situation, but never at the scale and never with the draconian consequences we have today. I mean, how many of you know that WannaCry killed almost 100 people that we know of, documented? A virus, a piece of malware, ransomware, killed a whole bunch of people, mostly in Europe. You know why it didn't affect this country? Because the IOCs, the indicators of compromise for the malware, which was used for WannaCry, were published into everybody's intelligence system a year before it happened. 30 days before WannaCry happened, there was specific advice published by some amazingly good organization and some super attractive blonde guy that said, these are the things you need to do right now to protect your organization. And so as a direct result, by pumping it into everybody's intelligence system and by giving out alerts to everybody, it negligibly impacted the United States. Europe didn't have that chance. So that's why people died. And a lot of people die from cybersecurity. Some of my fellow Uber nerds, we sit there and go, how many people have to die before we make change? How many deaths publicly known before people say, wait a minute, this isn't just a bunch of pew-pew happening on those wires. This is real stuff. People's lives and people's literal livelihood and lives are being destroyed by this cyber war that's going on. We got to do something. So I'm going to leave you with one last thing, since now the hook is coming. And that is, right now computers produce more wealth than they take. With that line, wealth produced versus wealth stolen, it's starting to converge. What do you think will happen to the world if the amount of money lost exceeds the amount of money produced with computers? And what's next? Anyway, thank you so much for your time, everybody. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Did you get a shirt?
Sweet.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Brett, for that provocative presentation. Brett will be available through the rest of the morning if you have questions for him. And he will also be around during our UW-Oshkosh Cybersecurity Center of Excellence tour, as he has been very helpful in its establishment. We're now going to take a short break for our networking break and sponsor expo, sponsored by Bank First and Lincoln Labs. Please visit our sponsors in the back of the ballroom. Again, thank you to all the sponsors. If you're looking for the Forta restrooms, they are around the corner right behind this wall. Thank you very much and have a great networking break. We will reconvene at approximately 9:20.